first of all, it's always a great pleasure to be here in Barcelona. Last time I was here, I was given a shirt by the football club, number 10 shirt, which said not Ronaldinho on it, but Rushdie. So Ronaldinho has been relegated to the bench. What first attracted me to it, that the theme, it's difficult to say exactly, because I've had a long interest in the history of the 16th century, both in India and in Europe. Very rich periods in both places. And at a certain point I thought, well, maybe one should see what happens if you put them together. And as a writer, you're always interested in inventing the thing that did not happen. And the thing that did not happen in the 16th century is that nobody traveled from India to Europe. Just simply, there was no such journey. There are a few journeys in the other direction, from Europe to India, but nobody, as far as I could find, not one example of a traveler coming from India into Western Europe. And so I thought, well, that's exactly the story to make up then. And then I thought, well, if it's a woman making the journey, it's even less probable that it would have happened, and so more interesting. The structure of the novel has a journey from the west to the east, a journey from the east to the west, and it's a way of examining really the beginning of the relationship between these worlds, because they barely knew each other at this time. So the current idea is that we will make 2 movies of Midnight's Children. We'll make part 1 and part 2, and we shoot them at the same time. I mean, to put it crudely, you probably have 100 million people who are very, 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 very rich. And you have another 100 million people who are pretty well off. And then you have 800 million people who are broke. And I think that the problem that India has to solve is the kind of social injustice of that situation. That, to have a country in which 20% of the country possesses all the assets and all the wealth, and so on, it's a recipe for instability, and there is a degree of political instability in India now, as a consequence of that. But it's an inexhaustibly fascinating place, and for me has always been. I mean, no matter how often I go away from it and write about other things, it always pulls me back to write about it some more, and I'm sure it will do so again. It's a bad time, and I mean, here we are today. There's this meeting in London, which is supposed to try and solve the problems of the world, and I would be willing to bet a certain amount of money that it will not. I'm writing I'm writing a sort of sequel to Haroun and the Sea of Stories, another book for I don't know who is it for. It's for everybody, really. And I think one of the things that was very pleasurable to me about Haroun and the Sea of Stories is that children were able to read it in one way and adults in another. And I would hope that would also be true of this one. But it's basically driven by the simple fact that I wrote Haroun and the Sea of Stories when my older son was 11 years old, and I now have another 11-year-old son saying, "Where's my book?" and there are 2 answers to that question. Answer 1 is to say, "Kid, life ain't fair." There is no second book. Forget about it. Read that one, and that's it. Answer 2 is to write the book, and so I decided to go that way. And actually, I'm almost done. It's almost done, and I hope to be finished with it in the next couple of months. I think it's time we outgrew these things and tried to lead our lives without the benefit or otherwise of these, not just the gods themselves, but the people who claim to act in their name, and which has been a curse of our time. Whether it's, as I say, whether it's the Christian Coalition or the Ayatollah Khomeini or the Shiv Sena, these are some of the worst things that people have to contend with, in the world as it is. And so, yes, religion is not my team. Let me say I support a different team. A group of people, including other British writers, including Martin Amis and Graham Swift and other writers who helped me enormously in those days, and were a very, I mean, you could not wish for a better or more trustworthy group of friends to help you deal with the kind of appalling situation. And I always feel that one of the reasons I was able to come through that time was because of the support of that group.